Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGeek webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is SharePoint Online and Deploy Custom Solutions with Office 365 and Salesforce. And this is the 10th session in the Cloud Computing series. Our guest speaker today is Mr. Murtaza Fazl Hussain, Assistant Manager at Vodafone Pune. Mr. Murtaza is a senior engineer with more than 8 years of experience in web-based system development, specializing in middleware platforms and performance management. His passion is dedicated to making ultra-large best-of-breed solutions work around the world. He speaks 5 foreign languages and is dedicated to writing, teaching, and speaking to help companies get the most out of their investment. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Mr. Murtaza.
Yeah. Hi, thanks, Moini. Good afternoon, everyone. Murtaza here, and welcome to this edition of TechGeek of SharePoint Online. I have divided this session into 3 parts. I will first introduce you to the architecture of the cloud, and then we'll move on to a demo of Office 365, and finally we'll talk about Salesforce. During this session we will be covering a lot of code writing. So first of all, we'll start with the PPT. Moini, is it viewable?
You're able to see it?
Okay. The PPT is clear? Okay, this is our agenda. We'll cover the definition of cloud, SharePoint on premises, off premises, implementing sandbox solution, implementing a sandbox solution with the client object model, which is Silverlight. And when we'll come to the second part of the this webinar, which is Salesforce, and then we'll have a quick tour of Salesforce with we'll have a demo of Salesforce, and then we'll integrate Salesforce with ASP.NET and SharePoint, and finally we'll integrate Salesforce with SharePoint with a third-party tool, and at last we'll see at the risk to consider while moving to the cloud. So what is cloud? The term cloud in cloud computing can be defined as the set of hardware, network, storage, services, and interface that combine to deliver aspects of computing as a services. Cloud service include the delivery of software, infrastructure, and storage offered to internet based on user demand. After reading this, the question is why customer or companies are looking to come to the cloud. I would say companies want an environment that can scale on demand. They do not want to be always in the business of managing and patching software all the time. They want a solution that gives a better business continuity, and they want to focus more on the productivity side rather than always just like monitoring their network and their operating system about patching and all. So the another benefit would be the cloud also will reduce software cost in terms of licensing, as the cloud is based on per user or monthly fees, or also based for online services. And the major benefit for enterprise is flexibility. It's like you pay according to what you use. Next is the architecture of the cloud. In the cloud, we have three service delivery model, which is one is infrastructure as a services, the other is platform as a services, and the third is software as a services. What does it mean? We'll read the simple definition of these one. Consumer, for example, infrastructure as a services, consumer can provision computing resources within providers' infrastructure upon which they can deploy and run arbitrary software including OS and application. Platform as a services, consumer can create custom application using programming tools supported by the provider and deploy them onto the provider's cloud infrastructure. Software as a services, consumer use provider application running on provider's cloud infrastructure. The next slide would be very useful to us to understand what is the these three services delivery of model. So at the left side you can see the on-premises. On-premises means that you own the complete control of everything. Everything means application. It could be your data, it could be your middleware, it could be your operating system, it could be your virtualization as server, storage, and networking. Now we are coming to the off-premises. Off-premises means we have three service delivery model for the off-premises architecture. We have infrastructure, we have platform, and we have software. I'll start with the infrastructure services. I'll just show you the yes, I think so. This is the biggest one. I'll put it as 150%. So I think so you are able to see the screen. In infrastructure, the customer or the company will manage only this part, means application, data, runtime, middleware, OS. The other will manage the server, storage, networking, and virtualization. Like as in, for example, your server would be located in some data center with let's say IBM or maybe Microsoft, but about the network card, about the networking part, the storage part, the virtualization part, everything they will manage. And at the company side, you'll just have to manage the application, the OS patching or this kind of stuff, and your data. Maybe you'll store data into your SQL databases or Oracle databases, which would be located in your infrastructure, which would be managed by you. Now with let's say platform as a services, you will manage only application and data. The rest would be managed by the others, third party. For example, Windows Azure is one of the best example for platform as a services. They manage everything, but they will let you do. They will let you host your application and your data within the Windows Azure platform. The next is, I'll move this slide to this side. The next is software as a services. In software as services is the full opposite. You will not have any control. Everything would be managed by the others. Everything, I mean, like even the application, the data, you will not, you will even not access to the file system. The most common example is Office 365, on which we'll go to the, I'll show you a demo about the software as a services later on. So I'll come back to my slide now. Yes. Okay. This is what I have said just recently. On premises, that means for organization that require the ability to have total or near control over their SharePoint environment of an on-premise SharePoint environment is definitely the way this should go. Off-premises of infrastructure as a services, that means all the software installation, configuration, management, patching, adding new server to meet demand, load balancing need to manage by you. Infrastructure as services gets you out of the business of hosting virtual SharePoint server. Platform as a services is running the environment all the way up to the application and data tier. Windows Azure is platform as a services cloud. In this cloud, you build custom application, data model, and run them through a highly available environment. And finally, software as a services is the entire stack delivered in the cloud, and this is the delivery model for SharePoint Online, which we'll see later on. You do not have to install software, manage patches, availability, etc. This environment gets you out of the business of managing software and into the business of building solution. It does not provide a granular level of control of the SharePoint environment. Now the question is when to go on premises and when to go off premises. Larger organizations tend to go toward the on-site or on-premises private cloud to ensure they are able to connect to the other external data sources, easily federate with their Active Directory security configuration, and implement any custom solution or configuration they require. That means, like, let's say any bank or any possibly telecommunication company will never go off-site, off premises, because the security model, because I would say they want the total control over their data and over their operating system, whoever is logged in, and so on. For small and mid-sized business, yes, they could go to the off-premises because, like, it gives a collaboration solution that involve little or no support from the organization IT department and has a very straightforward set of requirements. This is one of the service delivery model example. See, in the left side we have software as a services, platform as a service, and infrastructure as services. Amazon Web Services, they fall into the infrastructure as a services. Google Apps, they fall into software as a services, but Google App Engine, they are in between platform as a services and infrastructure as services. Microsoft Windows Azure, similar like Google App Engine, they are half into the platform as services, infrastructure as services. And our next topic is about Salesforce. Salesforce has two flavors. One is force.com, which is platform as a services, and salesforce.com, which is software as a services. Right. Okay, now we'll jump into the sandbox. When our main topic is based on the custom application, how to deploy custom application into the SharePoint Online. So the answer of that would be only sandbox solution are supported by Office 365 primarily. Now, what is sandbox? The general definition of sandbox is like it's isolate your application in its own secure, reliable environment that is independent of the hardware, operating system, and physical location of the web server. And what is his use? When an organization wants to run code for employees on a production SharePoint server, and let's say that code has not been yet tested rigorously or maybe reviewed by the QA team, so we can like implement sandbox solution for that. Or otherwise, when a hoster wants to let the owner of hosted SharePoint server site upload and run custom component. Hoster means the administrator of the SharePoint farm. For controlling like 2-3 web SharePoint farm, it could be easy, but whenever you are in front of 50 or 100 SharePoint farm, then that could be a problem. So I would say all administrator will not be able to moderate or control everything on what and where it is going. So sandbox solution is one of the great idea implemented by Microsoft in SharePoint 2010 and even in SharePoint 2013. The benefit of SharePoint sandbox. It can be added to a production SharePoint server environment without the risk of affecting processes outside the sandbox. A site collection administrator can deploy sandbox solution. This frees farm administrator from this task. Scalability and flexibility are increased because sandbox run in a separate process then can be restricted by quotas and their effect on the farm can be monitored. Of course, there are a lot of limitation of sandbox solution. Security elevation are not permitted, like while developing custom application into SharePoint, a lot of developer used to SP security run with elevated privileges, so that method is no more supported with sandbox. No support to web part pages namespace. No cross connection of web parts are allowed. No email support. SP utility is class is not available.